The following happened between 6:30 and 8 p.m. on Thursday, April 13th, 2011.
We do not yet know the seriousness or effects of Japan, and for any of us to think we do would be unfair.
That's Lesley VanBorssum, founder and president of Winning with Women. She was invited to a coffee party discussion along with Donna Alou, Republican chairman of Arizona's Legislative District 26, Brian Kleiman, Democratic chairman of Arizona's LD 26, and Holly Lyon, who's the chairman of the Saddlebrook Democratic Club. They met to discuss some of the pressing issues of the day, so let's get to it. Let's get ready to rumble! Oh, wait, it's the coffee party, and the aim is to have a nice, relaxed discussion, and that's exactly what happened. For time consideration, we'll be focusing mainly on the comments of Holly and Lesley. Okay, let's dive in with question number 1. How dependent should we be on nuclear power?
On March 30th, President Obama gave a fairly major speech on energy and energy policy. This was after the horrible events continued to unfold in Japan. And in this speech, he said very clearly that nuclear power must be part of the climate change equation for our nation and others. There is a reason that our president is taking that point of view.
For example, Lesley pointed out that the most economic source of electricity is hydroelectric power, kind of hard to come by in Arizona. Next is nuclear power, then coal, and then natural gas.
Comparing nuclear with coal, a coal-powered plant, and we clearly have one up on the Navajo Reservation that powers the water from Central Arizona Project that comes down to us. That coal-powered plant and a comparable nuclear plant, coal emits 100 times the radiation of a comparable nuclear power plant.
Holly Lyon said that while she does see the need for nuclear power, she wouldn't want to live near a nuclear power plant.
I want to believe in nuclear power because I just had always thought that it was pretty safe and clean and that kind of thing. I believe now that probably with the Japan accident, that it isn't as safe as we thought it was. And the risk of a disaster is, the repercussions of anything going wrong with nuclear power are so tremendous. And I think most of us get really scared to think, what if it were in my backyard giving me all this power and anything went wrong? It could be 3 Mile Island. It could be anything, small or large, and all of a sudden we would be scared to death. I know I would in my backyard.
Along with the fear factor, Holly talked about the challenges of storing nuclear waste and also the amount of water that nuclear power plants use. Lesley pointed out that besides Chernobyl, which was poorly designed and built, and the Fukushima plant that was hit by a 9.0 earthquake and a 30-foot wall of water, nuclear power plants have a very good safety record.
We do know 3 Mile Island, and there was no loss of life, and there was no sickness from that. So I think we have to put the danger, and yes, there is danger. We must put it into a proper perspective, because sadly, of us in this room, more of us are far more likely to lose our life in safe, smart cars with our seatbelt on and airbags than we are to die from radiation from a nuclear power plant.
Let's move on to our next question. Question number 2, what is the most efficient way to secure the border? We'll start this time with Holly Lyon, who used to work for a company called L3.
We were subcontracting underneath Northrop Grumman to bid on Secure Border Initiative Network.
She says she spent 5 months intensely studying the issue of securing the border.
And I was living in Washington, D.C. and Virginia at the time. I was more acquainted with the Arizona border than probably a lot of people, except the agents themselves. And it was, I have to tell you, we were all frustrated because, and they lost the bid, by the way. and I think one of the reasons that we, honestly, if I were to pull back and just look at it, one of the reasons we lost the bid is because there was a feeling that it was just nearly impossible to do. I mean, basically, if you were to put a soldier or a Border Patrol agent every 500 yards, you might be able to stop immigration, illegal immigration. That's probably about the only way you can really just do it. So what do you do less than that? Is you probably have to disincentivize those people who want to come over. There's still going to be some who are going to come, their families are here, that kind of thing. But you have to do the best you can to make sure that they don't have jobs when they get here, or the kind of jobs that they want, that Americans, citizens, are offered those jobs, and if you give them with like a guest program, then you don't want to create a second-class citizenship kind of a category either. These people need to be paid minimum wage, et cetera, if you're going to have a guest program. So then, all of a sudden, the businesses don't have any reason to have these illegal immigrants anymore, or these guest workers. They can pay Americans. So if they want to have these guest workers, they need to show that they offered these jobs to Americans.
Lesley VanBorssum told a story about how she recently took a candidate for the Colorado State Legislature on a tour of the border.
The comment was, this is like a ghost town. This feels funny. This is eerie. That's how it feels to me as a person who's grown up in Arizona. Holly said exactly the segue, and I'm grateful for that. She said, manage the problem. Right now, the Department of Homeland Security has a policy that we will manage the border. The question is, secure the border. And every one of you know that you can manage your homes. It's not the same as securing your home. They are two different things. Very simply, we must have a policy that is directed toward securing the border. We must give the people who do the job the tools to do the job, and they have not had them. They haven't had them for years and don't have them now. We have to have a standard between DHS, Border Patrol, CHIPS. We must have a standard with our sheriff's departments. We must have a policy that is inclusive of all and that understands the fear that those ranchers live with every day.
Let's move on to our third and final question of the evening. How much do we want the government to be involved in our personal lives?
How many of you know that if you were asking for a wire transfer to perhaps family members in other countries and you wanted to wire funds, you couldn't do it? How many of you know that there was a complete iron curtain, I don't use the term lightly, put around the United States of America for many, many months following 9/11? Very few. I don't see anybody shaking their head. I knew that. Did our government tell us that? No. But we really didn't know, as average citizens, what kinds of things were being done behind the scenes. I can tell you that you still don't know the kinds of things that are being done behind the scenes, and I can tell you that it is getting worse, and it isn't getting better. Yes?
You know, I think making a statement like that, you really should be
Excuse me,
providing...
we're not taking questions
You
from the
can
floor
ask
now.
me anything.
Oh, later?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll deal with it later.
We're taking them in writing or in the social part.
I mean, you can ask no questions from the audience afterwards?
Yeah,
You
sure.
mean, yes, just send it up in
Sure.
writing.
I might not stay for it since you're going to...
After order was restored, Lesley wrapped up her point like this.
The Securities and Exchange Commission just released 6,000 pages of rules. There will be approximately 200,000 pages before they're done, and it regulates one thing. Essentially, the free speech of people in the financial services industry. My free speech. And ultimately, like Pastor Niemöller in Germany said, When you look around, they'll eventually will come for you, and there will be no one there to stand for you.
Lesley and the audience member did have a chance to visit after the panel discussion, but he just didn't want to wait.
I'd like to respond.
No, I'm sorry.
Denied. When it came around to Holly's turn, she said the bottom line for her is she wants the government involved in her private life as little as possible.
I don't want them, I don't want you, and I say you because you are the government, right? We the government of the people. I don't want you collectively to be able to vote by majority to tell me that I have to do something I don't want to do, or I can't do something I feel like I need to do. So I want government, I want you out of my personal life. But I don't want you dirtying up my air. I don't want you dirtying up my water. I want my roads safe to travel. I want you to make sure that the insurance companies, actually, when they tell me that they're going to give me health insurance, that they give me health insurance when I get sick.
And while Lesley agreed that government should play a role, she pointed out that when it gets too big, it's a real problem.
But when government usurps its role and its power then becomes abusive, the net effect is to lessen and or eliminate competition. Competition is a valuable thing and part of the human spirit. I don't want government to go away any more than anyone here does. But I do not want government to be so big that by its very nature and the weight of life, it becomes too intrusive and therefore abusive.
So there's a taste of how it went at the coffee party panel discussion that night. Surprisingly, there was a lot of common ground on a lot of the issues, and some issues there was really not much common ground at all. But it's nice to be able to sit down and talk about these things and debate them in the public square. Thanks to the coffee party for hosting, and for more information about Winning with Women, go to their website, winningwithwomen.org.